Alright, first off, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Kodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways, pushing this word in all sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps, the hopeful elect. Shalom. This is the brother Aaron from the James Jamaica camp, coming with another quick lesson. And this lesson is going to be um, based on respect of persons and also judgment. You know, as men of the Lord, judging is something that is bestowed upon us. By judging using the scriptures, right? We're judges of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. We're judges through Yahweh Hashem Yahushai Hashem Kodash, right? So as it pertains to judgment, there are a few guidelines in which we need to take into consideration. Being that we are judges. All right, so let me get straight into it. This is Leviticus chapter 19, and I'll start at verse 15. It says, "Ye shall do no unrighteousness in judgment. Thou shalt not respect to the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty, but in righteousness shalt thou judge thy neighbor." And that's the thing, sometimes there are things that happen, both, outside of the camp, when you're in your daily walk, and there are things that happen, within the camp, where there are always conflicts, right? Life is about conflicts. There's always going to be somebody rubbing somebody the wrong way. Somebody did something to someone, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And even if it's a case that you don't judge things directly, like for example, when I'm in the workplace and I see certain things, I judge it, but not directly to say I go and I intervene, but I I'll have a judgment on it based on the scriptures. In the camp as well, sometimes it requires for me to say something directly, and then other times, depending on the situation, if it's already been handled or if it's going to be handled by somebody else, or if it's not something that would require me to actually get involved, right? Because there are guidelines, right? Then I'll make my judgment, but I'll just leave it at that. And then there are other times where I have to step in and say something, as the situation requires, right? So it says that thou shalt not respect the person of the poor, nor honor the person of the mighty. And that's the thing. In our daily walk, we see things happen with people that are honorable. We see things that happen with people that are mighty. We see people that are lowly. And within the camp, there are things that brothers that are weaker in the faith might do, and there are things that brothers that are more mature in the spirit might do as well. But it can't be a case where just because a brother is weak in the faith, or a brother might consistently mess up, in a particular way or on a particular issue, it doesn't mean that whenever something is brought before you, that you go ahead and you assume, and then automatically you have you make a decision, right? It's a case where we have to hear both sides of what's happening, and then a judgment is cast forth. It doesn't mean that you're not of quick judgment, as the scripture says in Isaiah that Yahweh Shai was of quick judgment, and we, as we grow in this truth, we will have quick judgment, but nonetheless, it's there's a guideline of judging and hearing both sides, right? And it's not going to be a case where just because a brother is more mature in the spirit, you overlook a situation and say there's no way a brother will do this, or no way a brother will do that, or to say that them that are weaker in the faith will say yes, is definitely wrong because he's always making this type of decision, or always making that type of decision, or vice versa. It can't be a case where we're saying that this brother always in the spirit or whatever, he must can slip at some point here or there, or there's no way this young brother would actually do this. He may be young, but just straight off the bat making a judgment to say nobody did this or nobody did that. We should hear both sides of the story, And even if it's a case that you don't hear both sides of the story, it should be a way where, you know, we say if the situation is, as we receive it, then that is wrong or that is right. But you have to make it clear that, if it is as it is reported, because at the end of the day, whenever you hear one side, that's something that you can take into consideration. Now, if they're not all the time, there will be an opportunity to hear both sides. For example, especially when it's out and about and in the world, and you hear things or see things happen in front of you. So it's always good to bear that in mind, that if it's a case that you didn't hear both sides of the story, if it is as it's spoken, then this is right or this is wrong. Then it gets down to a point where it gets to you personally being in a situation, directly involved. And this is Leviticus 19, and I'll start at verse 17. It says, "Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and suffer not sin upon him." Right? And that's the thing, there are times when we are offended by certain things, or something rubs you the wrong way or makes you uncomfortable or makes us uncomfortable. you know the scripture gives a guideline on what to do. We need to speak up. We need to go ahead and address it, because if we actually hold it in and let it fester, then that can gender confusion. It can gender strife, and it can build up hate, right? So being conflict avoidant, and holding things in, you know then definitely you should actually say something about it. Not to say that you're gonna get up and you're gonna nitpick and be petty about every single thing, because there's balance to it. But for the most part, if it's something that that definitely warrants you saying something, or if it bugs you to a particular point or makes you uncomfortable in a certain point, don't hold it in. Go ahead and have it addressed, as that's the best way. That's what we have been told to do, right? As it says here, it says, "Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor, and not suffer sin upon him." So in the event that that brother is wrong, or that neighbor, because it's not only towards them within the truth, and especially as a word of advice for if it's a situation outside of brothers in the camp. In Proverbs it says, answer a fool according to his folly, and also answer not a fool according to his folly. So bear that in mind, to know which fool to answer in the event that it's one of those situations that you're dealing with the unbelievers. But if it's pertaining to brothers in the truth, then yes, if it's a case that you say something, sometimes it's not as what we think, or it's not as it may seem, you know but at the end of the day, you have to speak up, because you'll never know, right? It says, "Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, but thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am Yahweh." And that's the thing, so it applies to both the camp and both to the unbelievers, right? So if you have an issue, we are men. We should speak up. We should be ready to handle conflict. Because once again, there's no life without conflict. That's all about life. Soon as you solve one issue, then another one comes. Everything it's all about conflict, right? But there's a way out to get it done. Next precept is Matthew chapter 18 and verse 15. It says, Moreover, if thy brother shall trespass against thee, go and tell him his fault between thee and him alone." All right? So that's the thing. If there's an issue, go ahead and say to that person, right? It says, "If he shall hear thee, thou hast gained thy brother. But if he will not hear thee, then take thee one or two more, that in the mouth of 2 or 3 witnesses every word may be established." And once again, this can be applied as it pertains to the unbelievers, but you have to bear in mind that to know which fool you're encountering. Is it a fool that that you should answer according to his folly, or the one that you should not, answer according to his folly, right? So, as it pertains to those that are in the camp, the believers, right? It says that, if it's a case that you have an issue, you tell it to that person alone. If it still hasn't been resolved, then, you take 2 or 3 witnesses so that every word may be established, right? And it says, if he shall neglect to hear them, tell it unto the church. But if he neglect to hear the church, let him be unto thee as a heathen man and a publican. So pretty much, cast them aside, because guess what? It's just conflict and confusion. In everything, it requires compromise. Sometimes, it may be a case where you're even right, and what you need to do is just to suffer. We need to suffer ourselves to be defrauded. And just work with whatever judgment is passed down by the heads. And if it's a case that they saw it that way and it was it's wrong, the Lord knows their hearts and the Lord knows your heart, because sometimes a judgment may be passed, and even if the head is wrong, the Lord will actually reveal it in time, because not every time when someone makes a wrong judgment or even a wrong decision, it's from a malicious place. It may be that it's genuine, or it might be a case where even though you feel like you have a right out of it, the judgment is actually correct, and there's a bigger there's a higher situation at play. There's a more spiritual aspect or side of things that is in play, right? More than what you're seeing, or more than what even everyone in the situation is actually seeing. So there's also that aspect of dealing with a situation, or dealing with people, whether the believers or the unbelievers, right? But especially as it pertains to the believers, there are things that maybe you don't understand, or things that you're not seeing, or we're not seeing. All right. But for the most part, we should speak up. Once there's an issue, address it, so that that spirit of strife and that spirit of contention can actually, be gone. All right. So don't want to make this long. Hope this was edifying. Once more, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, Bashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, who indeed rule well. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways, pushing this word down, sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps. Hold on. Did I Salakia Akim? Let me. Something slipped my mind. I'm wondering if I actually I think there was something that I missed out. As it pertains to it being a group, I don't remember if I said it earlier, right? If it's a case that there's an issue in a group setting, so to speak, and a brother may ask, are you of all those who have an issue with X, or all those who have an issue with Y, please speak up. If in that state, if you actually have an issue, you should speak up. It can't be a case where you don't speak up, and then after everything has played out, then you're gonna pull a brother to the side, or pull someone to the side and say, hey, I actually had a problem with that. I'm glad that it was addressed, or whatever the case may be, when you had the chance to speak up, because maybe you could have shed some more light on it, or maybe you could have helped to highlight a few things that would have made the resolution that more effective, and help to see the bigger or the broader picture of what's actually taking place. And not only that, that also helps to sow confusion and even strife, because here it is that everyone else will think that this issue has been handled or whatever, and no one else has an issue, or these were the persons that have the issue, and then you being there having the issue, not saying anything, and then something else happens, and then the issue resurface, or it cause some form of issue down the road once more. So also that's one thing to keep into mind. We should all speak up as it pertains to the situation. We have to face conflicts, but there's a guideline. Just do it the right way. Once it's done how the scripture says that it should be done, then it will definitely be rectified. That's one of the points that I actually wanted to bring out in the lesson. you know so, with that, hope you were edified. Once more, to give all praises, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Hashem Yahushai B'Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who rule well. Shalom to the brothers in the highways and byways pushing this word on sincerity and truth. The sisters, the believers, the helps, the hopeful elect. Shalom.